So I thought I'd make a video on a few topics that I wanted to talk about. And I haven't been really making videos really frequently like I was before, and it's just because I don't have a desk. I don't have like a table and I get organized, set up a camera and easy videotape, and I need to get me a camera holder. But I wanted to talk about some pretty disturbing things. You know, there's a lot of bad that happens in the world, and I really don't know what the circumstances is to my life on who's still to this day had the ability to abuse me with these electronic devices to the point where I don't know if I'm taking a left or I'm taking a right, or I need to stand still, or I take one step forward, or I give a bad expression because these electronic devices they have a range of electronic devices that they're blasting me with. I never know, because it confuses the brain of a human being to be able to rationalize about what the fuck is going on around them. But it doesn't change the fact that if something would have ever happened to my life, I get hit by a car going, 40 miles an hour and it kills me, it isn't going to change the fact of any justice is not going to be done. It's not going to change the fact that if I have to, for some reason, something ever happens where I end up in prison, or serious charges, real serious charges in a real jail, waiting to be sentenced to prison, that there's not going to be any discussion, any justice whatsoever. And that's why I have to just get up my bags and get the fuck and run for my life from state to state, city to city, because there's no hope. Law enforcement, there's no hope. When you go to court and you go to serious charges and you deal with prosecutors and you deal with your lawyers and you deal with that type of corruption, and you deal with an individual that is going to tell you, well, if you plead innocent, they're going to, and you found guilty, they're going to give you 30 years. Like, they don't give a fuck. I'm already 40, especially now. If I didn't want to waste my youth earlier, just rather sleep on the streets, I'm 41 years old now. Last thing I want to do is die of fucking cancer in a prison, let alone be in prison, but to die in there. And then not just natural causes, but the fucking cancer and the fucking tumors and shit. They got hospice in fucking jail cells. There's a lot of people that die in jail that go to hospice. They got a hospice unit, and it's just, that's where people die. That's where you fucking remain. But, which is fucked up. They have, I don't know how hospice works in jails. They got CNAs, they got nurses there. But I want to say that I think some of the inmates, I don't know if I think I've seen documentaries where they take care of the other inmates that are dying. Like, they're riddled with cancer. There's nothing. They're in a room full of fucking walls, in a fucking hallway, in a jail hallway, just fucking like a toothpick, with their mouth open, and got 7 to 10 days left of life before they die, maybe a few weeks before they die, and it's some guy that's a prison inmate that's doing life already, giving him a fucking cup of water, or some Kool-Aid to fucking drink before he dies. Like, your life is so disposable and so worthless in those places that it is better to sleep and dig in a trash can outside than to ever think your life is ever going to amount to anything in there other than somebody else's resources and somebody else's trash. But if I don't become out here in this fucking world, nothing, I'm okay with that. I'm already a fucking nobody anyway. But it is terrifying to me that I never know who's responsible, because my my life got wasted away. I'm 41 years old and they took my youth. They took things away from me that they did not allow me to build. I have to measure my life by their ruler, not mine. And mine is much more detailed and beautiful than theirs could ever be measured with. You know, and to realize that that's really taken away from me out of just sheer jealousy and rage. Like, there's no police officers, there's no lawyers I can get. Beating the fuck every morning, wake up shitting myself nearly. I was on a bus and I could tell they were shooting an electronic device and I felt like I was gonna throw up all over the fucking floor. I thought I was having a stroke or something. I felt so fucking dizzy. And I felt like I was just gonna, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I was gonna just do, I felt sick, like real nauseated, like nausea, like nausea. Like I was fucking just, felt like I was just fucking vomiting sick. And I know it wasn't, because like that, it happened. I was just on the bus and playing, you know, checking my email, writing notes on my phone, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck? You know, and I look up, and I try to hold my composure, and I can see somebody go, like, taunting me in front of a fucking building, you know, and it's 3 days before 9/11. It's 2 days before 9/11. Like, you know, it's fucked up because, you know, how my life ended up just getting, you know, you become somebody else's profitable gain and somebody else's, that's all you are. Your life is nothing more than resources for them and their personal motives. I don't know how I can explain this more, let alone in life you have to have somebody be able to listen to you, because you can come up with the most intelligent shit, you can come up with some really great ideas, but if nobody listens to you, you don't have anything, because they're always going to fire back at you in very evil, dark ways, and that's all they ever did to me. And especially when they get trained to do dark psychology, and when I can't defend myself, and I can't go to a fucking lawyer, I can't fucking, you know, so much control for the story of me being homeless and the things I had to endure are so hard on a human being that you would have wanted to commit suicide. You would have wanted to, because the stress is so through the roof and it is so demoralizing. Like, it wasn't just me panhandling on a street or fucking the things that people would direct at me in so hateful ways was so ongoing. And they would they would turn around the corner just to go into a subway just to fucking act nasty and disgusting to me. And this was, I can't call the police, I had no fucking money. And this was, you live like that to the point where it's just like, well, I gotta start digging in trash cans, because you just, you know, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyway. You know, like, I'm not gonna go to prison and jail, I don't want to do any of that, but my life is not worthy of anymore. You know, I don't want to bother anybody until it's over with, you know, and they get their fucking money. So, whatever that is. Oh, the forgiveness story or whatever for Jesus bullshit, and then they fucking kill you. And, you know, or, well, you know, okay, they know how to run the preparation of exercise of last fatal ends of life. And they have all the professionals already against me as well. It is very difficult for me to understand and accept, because no matter how much I accepted of everything that happened and I can't do anything about it, it was just hate crimes against me. And somebody was beating the fuck out of me, following me in every destination, at every corner, putting an electronic device in my environment, beating the fuck out of me. I was never allowed to work out. I was never allowed to go to school. I was never allowed to be comfortable, you know, where I could read books comfortably. You know, I could go to a library comfortably. I wasn't allowed to do any of those things. And even as right now as I'm talking to you, they're shooting something into my face. It's real violently painful on the right side of my cheek. And and it never stops. But to understand that of all the things that I've been through that you're never going to hear about or want to see is the very purpose why Barack Obama and Michelle Obama did what they did to me. Because when you can no longer talk about what had happened to you, you don't want to repeat it enough anymore. And you're not able to talk about it. And that is exactly how you commit a murder. When somebody wants to get rid of a human being with that intention to calculate it, they don't want to ever be caught. And the only way to ever be caught is if the details ever be exposed to what really had happened or there's a camera. You'll never be able to. What George Bush and all these other goddamn murderers and shit, you know, it's you'll never hear about it. When you don't ever hear about it, you'll never know what happened. And that's what they want, because they'll implement their own story. You'll never hear the true story of it. You never will. You will fucking never hear even a fraction of it. They will make you believe to what you want to believe, and your life is just garbage in a disposal. That's it. There's the empathy, the understanding of afterlife. That's all human beings. That's all what they want to place. This whole free country shit. Oh, I can just go work out what I do want. I'm on disability. I can really start building myself. No. The president is doing this to me, to my knowledge, unless it was somebody the entire time. It's because there's so much corruption that there's never going to be anyone that's ever going to help me. And it's so fixated that way that I am going to die this way, which is very much of what I believe. But it's even hard to explain that I watch all these interviews on my laptop, UFC fighters, MMA fighters, and so many other people I hear about going to prison. 20 years, 30 years. You know, this guy, he beat up a girl. You know, he's an MMA fighter, goes to prison, kills her by beating her. You know, you have War Machine. Goes to prison for 60 years. I mean, he'll be 70 by the time he's eligible for parole. There's so many stories out there. Hundreds, there's thousands of just, they never stop, the prison stories of the YouTube videos of what you see what's going on, okay? And you have Miguel Rivera and Diana Rivera, who live 2 houses down from me. Not only rapes my brother, but continues to do this for 10 years, and everyone knows about it and feels sympathy over him just because I met Michael Jackson. And because he's a reborn Christian with his fucking wife, transgender motherfucker who slapped my fucking mother. I mean, it's... My brother got raped by 10 homosexual, fully grown men from the age of 5 years old to fucking 14 years old. Over 10. There was one that I couldn't confirm unless Frankie could confirm it. Other than the other ones are confirmed. They are solid. I was there, I saw it, I knew what happened. 10. Fucking raping a little kid and punching him. A 200... If you didn't think that this guy was fucking big enough to fucking beat the shit out of you or me because he was heavy enough and bulky enough, no. This guy that lived 10 houses down further by the White House, where next to Good Elementary, was fucking like 265 pounds. He was like the fucking Rock. Like if you saw what he used to wear muscle shirts like the Rock does. Dwayne Johnson, the celebrity, he looked like that motherfucker. Like, I'm not kidding you. You could tell Julian this. You could talk to Julian because he knew who Skeeve Ed was. And he's one of the persons that I don't even know if confirmed. Punking out Frankie at fucking 9 years old, 10 years old. Frankie weighs fucking 90 or 85 pounds. Frankie was very skinny like I was. Frankie, I'm taller than Frankie. But Frankie was skinny. Frankie was skinny like I was my whole life, like he was. I was skinny just like Frankie. We were both skinny our whole lives. This guy weighs, if you thought this guy did not just punch Frankie, no, this guy was like 265. This guy was taller than, this guy was my height, and he was bigger, like muscle bulky bigger than fucking Miguel. You know, like I watched him giving candy to fucking Frankie, and these little strawberry candies, and saying, here, put this in your mouth, like these, like, you know, mints and shit. I mean, Frankie's being trained beyond it, and it was because of this motherfucker and this transgender that did this shit. I was there. This motherfucker was. I would watch Frankie, and it never makes sense to me because I brought the conversation up with Frankie before, when I was like 15. I was like, what was that? Yeah, I was like 15 years old, and we're in the living room, and I talked about this, and I said, Frankie. I said, and I said something about Miguel, and he goes, and he looked at me, and he's like, he never says anything, but his eyes get red, and I know it's fucking, because I have flashes of it, because I'm telling you, it happened like that. It happened like me walking in by a room, and I fucking watch the shit, and I never see it again. The reason there was very little spoken understanding is because Diana and Miguel, they groomed me through grooming Frankie and my mother. That's why the belief of everything that I saw and happen never did happen, because by the age of 6 or 7 years old, we're already hanging out with Mickey all the time, you know, playing sports outside. And I never find anything, they're claiming they're Christian, they're holding Bibles and shit, but I watched Frankie walk by the fucking, and I'd walk in the garage, and I had seen this guy do this shit. He goes and he like do this, and he goes like this, and he does this to scare Frankie. Frankie's fucking 120 pounds. This guy's, and he's bulk. He'll fuck you up. Okay, this guy is not a small fucking guy. I mean, he looks like he'd probably bench press a good fucking 260 pounds. His calf muscles, his calf muscles and the way his legs are built, he's built like a bull. Like, his calf muscles are muscle. Like, they're, and if you looked at his feet, he takes care of his feet unbelievably well. I've seen him without his shoes on. They're very fucking pretty and groomed. And for me to understand that he was doing, like, I'd watch Frankie, and I'd walk over, and I'd just catch the, like, you don't understand. Miguel always knew that I was the watch out. So the minute that he ever saw me, he would shoo away every fucking time. Like, when I was in his house, and I tried sticking my head out the door to see why he punked Frankie. Like, Mickey saw Frankie cry. I swear to you, could talk to Mickey about this. Mickey saw Frankie's eyes start to get red, like, hey, what's wrong? And then Mickey walks out in the hallway too. Like, can you imagine? Like, I'm trying to find clues. Imagine what he did to Frankie when nobody's looking. Imagine what he did to Frankie. And you know what? I've seen Miguel. He used to do this on purpose to Frankie. I don't think I've ever shared this before. And I thought of this. I had seen Miguel take medication intentionally in front of Frankie while we walked into his house a few times. And Diana set it up this way, like, you see, he's on medication. He made a boo-boo. You see? And I'd see him, and he would get the medication and go. So, whatever, Miguel was really good at faking his retardism. He faked that he had a mental disorder, because my sister over here, he knew was my sister, and had severe brain damage. She did have Down syndrome. Miguel was very fucking smart. He is pretending to be retarded. He's bullshitting. I have had conversations with this motherfucker when I was 12, 11 years old, and he was calculating. He was not fucking stupid or whatever. Maybe the medication that this doctor fucking given him was was like, oh, we gotta put him on the really strong bad shit to keep him safe. He raped Frankie, but just to keep him, Diana will take care of him. I mean, this motherfucker was doing this shit for fucking 7-8 years. And Frankie's being raped by 10 homosexual fucking men. When I go to VFW, and I go to Veterans Night at Fort Worth, bar where my dad used to drink, I talk Jack Murphy. Jack Murphy used to work there. He was a bouncer there. Jack Murphy was a real man. Jack Murphy will whoop your ass. And if you thought you wanted to fight, he was a bouncer he was a bartender at the fucking bar serving my dad a beer. He wouldn't let my dad drive because he didn't want him to drink and drive. And this was the fucking truth. If Jack would have seen something like, man, he would have fucked you up. But you gotta understand that this motherfucker, for 10 years he's doing this. And everyone is feeling sorry for Diana and feeling sorry. He doesn't go to prison. He doesn't go to jail. The police officers know this motherfucker did it. I talked about being in the car with Barry Pan. I wasn't in the car with Barry Pan, but I was with Barry Pan and Vandy. We went to the movie theater. I talked about this story already, and I was 13 years old. I was 12. I was 12 to 13 years old. I wasn't older than 13 because I was hanging around Barry all the time at the time, Barry Pan. And we were late at the Dollar movies, and the police officer drove us home, and I was the last one he was dropping off. And when we drive by fucking Miguel, this motherfucker knew about it. Everyone knew about it because everyone knew about Michael Jackson. So once Michael Jackson happened, and there's fucking an astronaut showing up when I'm in 5th grade, I'm 12 years old, and this astronaut shows up to Good Elementary, and he's bringing up this shit. That means everybody fucking knows. You can't tell me everybody didn't know about Miguel. That he's continuing to do this shit because they feel sorry for him. And they feel sorry for Diana. Like, Diana has the audacity to show up and slap my fucking mother. Like, I had no idea that she just holds it for fucking... But let's all feel sorry for him. And I walk up and down the streets just weeks ago, and I would catch somebody trying to feel sorry for him. Or whatever the next situation may be. And it's just like, I couldn't get a job in my 20s. Look, if you didn't think this was bad enough, this guy shows up to my dad's funeral with Diana, sitting behind Sarah Cooper. Just 2 rows. Either right behind, I think it was like 2 rows behind Diana. What more could you disrespect a funeral of a guy you knew? Not only you raped his kid, but you have the audacity to show up to his casket, and he stays the whole fucking time. They stay until they fucking pick his casket up, and we put his casket in the fucking car. Like they're sitting, and there isn't very many people that are in the fucking church chapel while the funeral service is being held. Very few people. It's just us kids, my uncle, Sarah, Robert, Michael, Ken Cooper, Michelle Cooper, Cam Cooper. That's it. And Leacha, who poisoned. Leacha was sitting 2 chairs behind, 2 seats behind me, who poisoned the shit out of me. And I was falling. I talked about this with my mother, with my dad's sister, biological sister. But this is boggling to me because, I know that there's all this bad shit that goes on, but they only targeted me. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't hold a job. They wouldn't let me get on disability. They were doing everything to sabotage me. But you buy my mom a fucking $100 million fucking house. I'm being attacked at my job sites. All the personal information that's being released from my mother's environment about Miguel's. When I'm at Standard Register, they're feeling sorry for Miguel. Everyone is... The guy that I talked about that I thought was a jet pilot was fucking protecting Miguel. And he was trying to reaffirm Miguel. I mean, this is... To me... This guy's responsible for 10 homosexual fucking rapes in his wife. Okay? Even if it was, you're doing this to a child. And he never goes one day to prison. Not fucking one day. Do you know how much time I spent in jail the minute I got my transplant? When I was 23 years old to fucking 28 years old? Do you know how much time in every day that I counted spent in jail? I probably spent like 4 months, maybe even 6 months. I'd say like 4 to 5 months at least all together. Like I would go and I'd have to sit there for 10 days because you can't spend more than 10 days at a regular city jail, unless max is I think 14 if you're paying off tickets, and you get $200 a day for every day that you're there. And I would get 3 tickets, and since I already received my first ticket years ago, every ticket that I get, they give me 3 minimum, maybe 2 if I was lucky. And that never happened, but maybe once. They give you 3, and sometimes even 4. One for no insurance was immediately $500. Bad registration sticker, $150. Bad inspection, $200. It was just about $1,000, if not more. I've gotten 4 tickets when they pulled me over, and then they look at my license and it wasn't that, and they give me a ticket for that because the address is wrong on my license. They want to just give me a ticket because they could give me a ticket for it. I'd walk away in 15 minutes, a police officer who targeted me and been notified through the gay community and LBG would give me a fucking $1,200 fucking ticket like that. And I was making $10 an hour at my job. Let me tell you something. When I was in my early 20s, I happened to go to AutoZone, and I saw Miguel working there. Someone gave this motherfucker a job to work at Auto Parts, and he's sitting in front of a computer just fucking talking to people, getting parts and doing his job, huh? To give this motherfucker a job, and I could tell that when I was around him and I saw him and I spoke to him, which I had no knowledge about what this guy's done. Like, because I had talked about it with Frankie, and Frankie doesn't want to release the information. And I say it when my dad died. We're sitting in the kitchen and we're talking. And I go and I talk to Frankie, and I said, "You talk to Miguel, what y'all talk about?" And I kind of have like a smirk, like, "Oh, it's Miguel, it's Diana, Christian theme, it's Jesus right there, that's Mickey, how we've always known them, they're Christian, remember, they're God, you people, they don't do nothing." And Frankie literally is looking at us, he goes, and he just stays quiet, and he just kind of looks at me like, "Yeah, and he goes, yeah, and he goes like, and that's what he does. He does it in front of Julian. You could talk when Julian saw this in front of him. Julian saw this in front of him. Julian saw the expression when I said, "Did you talk to Miguel? What did you talk about with him?" I was like, "Oh, you talked to Miguel? What happened to Mickey?" And you could see his expressions. That's something that Julian saw with me. Out of all the homosexual rapes that happened to Frankie and everything, that's something that Julian saw himself. But the idea of it is, there's so much tragedy, and you need to move forward, whatever which way that is, in a delightful way, and kind of keep things going a little bit. And it's from the electronic devices to who's tracking me down. I got a dead sister. It is horrific to know, because I was trying to live a fucking normal life and don't understand. Nobody cared, like I go to jail, and so many times I spent like it was a prison, and what these employees and what these police officers did in teams. And the fact that they're doing this, not only you're not just doing this to me and targeting me. I'm a cancer patient. I'm a fucking 24, 25-year-old ex-cancer patient that you know just got out of the hospital, went through chemo and a transplant. And you're behaving like that, and that's Gary Gwynn, and that's Mike Standish, and that's Michael Moody. You better do what I tell you to do, otherwise you'll get tickets. And they know how to they know how to take advantage of a young guy that's 25 years old. Oh, you went through cancer? Oh, you Michael Jackson? Oh, it's not why I did it for. I did it because it was just my job. Or other job sites when I was working at PBK. You don't know anything about that either. So, how is it that some guy like that and this fucking transgender white don't go to prison? I mean, these police officers were circling around the fucking building and perimeter where I was just to come after me, to try to put me in prison because they know they're looking for a fight. Police officers are looking for a fight. That's what they're looking for. They want to be tested to how lethal they can be. You know, most police. I've heard a lot of police. I've heard this numbers of stories. You know, everyone's different. But a police officer finally has to pull a gun and kill someone for whatever reason it may be, and they can't do their job anymore. Either it takes a year or 2 years or 3 years, but they stop doing it because they end up having a near-death experience, or they have something that alters them that they can't do the job anymore. Because once you actually killed another human being, and you were not an army officer, but you weren't in the army, but you were a police officer, you got fucked up. Because that's the ultimate of everything that you just took away. But that's all they were doing. Like, this motherfucker's, he's doing this to a fucking, he's 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. And I'm going to grocery stores, and they will punk me out, and they'll get larger individuals than me, and chasing me around, feeling sorry for Ken Cooper and protecting Miguel, the identity of what had happened, to rearrange the story to make sure Ken Cooper and Kenneth at the radio station is innocent. It was just a different story to what it needs to be. And they'll get larger individuals to then intimidate and scare. But they'll say it for something, because, oh, we just have to straighten you up, Hector, because you know, just to reaffirm you, just this is what we need to do, and this is what they'll do, but that's not why. And this is what they're still doing to me, and they're claiming, oh, they just want to help Ken and Sarah Cooper. I mean, this piece of shit and his wife did this shit, and it's. I'm nearly digging in trash cans, and this guy punching my fucking brother, and he was scaring him. I would watch my brother, even when I didn't catch it, walk by me, and with his eyes red, and look like, fuck him, and like cry, like I get to, I'm a person too, because what that makes a person feel, I could fuck you in your ass, and then, I could do whatever I want, fuck you in your ass because a police officer said so. This is a police officer. You can't ever do nothing to us, and that's true. You can't do nothing to a police officer, because you have so many faggots over there, and that's all that's there. There's only gays there, only gay male police officers. There's nothing more than that. There's no heterosexual females at all. They're allowing transgender, but you want to feel sorry for Michael Jackson, and you continue to feel sorry for Michael Jackson. I mean, Miguel. I mean, promotions. That's all that fucking happened. But it's fucked up, because I watch these guys. These are straight men. Some of these guys are real straight men sitting in prison for 30 fucking years. Like I watched The War Machine, or like this. I just heard this other guy, Phil Baron or some shit. Beats up a girl. Pretty bad. I mean, they shouldn't have done that. But spend 40 fucking 50. To spend 20 years is absurd. To spend 10 years for that ass whooping is absurd. Like, it is fucked up, because this is 10 homosexual fucking rapes, And this is why he was doing this. He was calculating this with his wife. As long as you get other people to rape you, you won't be able to point the finger at me anymore. And the President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama knew about this. They were protecting Miguel and Diana while I can't get a fucking goddamn job. Because he knows the entire public is going to go after him. And that's all they're doing to this day. And that's all they were doing back then. And back then, it was always horrible. It was horrific. Because you can imagine, for the last fucking 10 years, or over 10, for the last 13 years, I've been in the public situation with celebrities and all this other shit. I didn't know anything about my mom's twins and her triplets. I didn't know anything about that. But you have someone who have no reason to be aware, reason why does somebody be following me, recording me. And that's what they're doing when I'm 20. Do you know what that does to someone that's never experienced that? Do you know what that does, to how terrifying it does, to what it does to you mentally, especially a person like me? It fucked me up mentally. I was like shaking in my fucking apartment, I was 23 years old, 22 years old. I'm 25 years old and my eyes are sinking to the back of my fucking head. I'm fucking, like, the mental stress that I'm going to when I'm fucking 25 years old is so intense. It is fucking intense that I'm losing hair on the side of my fucking sideburns and hair. Like, my beard starts falling off. Who loses their beard because you're fucking going through stress? I mean, this is when I'm young. Right after cancer, I'm getting $8 an hour at a fucking job. I never make more than $10. My rent is fucking $650 fucking dollars back then. And I'm making $8 a fucking hour. I might have $20 at the end of the month if I work 40 hours in a fucking week. I might have $20. It's a fortune to even get into my car and just go down the street to go to Whataburger to get a burger. Like, the stress that I get just to eat something so small, go down the street, drive 10 minutes to a place and just get me something to eat. That's all. I just, $13, that's too much money. $13 is a crazy amount of money back then, but that's what I would spend. I spend $12. I get whatever food, Whataburger or Taco Bell, something just to go eat. And it would feel like I was taking an extravagant vacation, spending $1 million fucking dollars, because I was so broken, so stressed, and I felt so restrained that I can't tell you what that story was anymore. Because that's exactly what I said in the very beginning of this video. When you can't talk about what had happened, that's why they did it. They'll never be found guilty for any reason, and they're going to keep making up this story, and they're going to stick to that story, and you'll never hear the truth. But you have these circumstances that are happening to me. If Frankie gets raped by 10 homosexual fucking men. 10. And everyone is feeling sorry for Michael Jackson and this motherfucker. My mom discovers twins. My mom is being raped. I have a dead sister. Doesn't even get a proper burial. But Miguel shows up to my dad's burial with Diana, who poisons me and my mother together. Not once, but twice. Once by delivering a big bowl of soup so we could drink it. And the first time was whenever I was in the fucking kitchen with Frankie eating the soup. And I talked about, I felt like I had a stroke, and I told Mickey about this. I said, he kind of looked at me because he thought I was blaming him. Like, you think I'm a bad person? Kind of a little bit of an attitude, because I had said I felt like I had a stroke. I said I was so fucking sick. I don't know what this fucking filthy bitch did this. And I was about 12 years old to 11 years old when that happened. Horrifically, I don't know what this person put in that food, but it had to have been, for me not only to get that sick, But for me to have like these pains in my side of my brain and go like this, you know, when I'm asleep, not asleep, but like very sick and like felt like I was having a stroke. Like, I'm not kidding. I felt the side of my fucking brain kind of cringe, and then other side of my body kind of do this shit. And I was like sleeping, and I was like sweating. I was so fucking sick, and it like within 6 hours I was like that, 5 hours like that. And I had bronchitis. Literally, I had bronchitis. It was like 2 months. I remember having this most horrific bronchitis, and I kept on coughing and coughing green shit up. I kept on coughing and coughing. And I told Mickey about it. Because I said, well, maybe it was just something bad in the food. Or something. No, it was directly because of that meal. Because I was always very careful what I ate and drank. But it is... Oh, maybe it was my mother. And she just got really mad at me and stressed out. And what happens when you do that? Oh, you see, you can't prove it now. But you had a good time with Ken Cooper at the radio station. Kenneth Cooper, yeah, he's a member. Like, no matter how much I didn't want to talk about it, I never ran from it. Because when it all was happening, it got addressed. Not only did it get addressed, I talked to Frankie. Not only that, I am being fucking groomed as a child to allow them to do whatever they want. That they're only good people. Like, not only just by them, by other people. Like, I can't tell you how many times when I'm in 5th grade and we're going to an outdoor science event. For those that remember the farm they used to have for R.L. Turner and Good Elementary, you used to have science field day, and you go get all these science experiments to get to go do. I remember being there and seeing Miss Heather talk about, yeah, there was a bunch of chickens and pigs that were killed, and the police officers know who did it. Yeah, they know who did it. They'll eventually get them. It was more than one of them, and they're telling me this, like they're grooming me because they think I know as a kid, but I don't, and they're start pointing like a couple houses down, and they do this behavior when I'm very young, but they have no idea that I don't know. They think I know, and you know, I was 4 years old when this happened to Frankie. You know, This is before I met Michael Jackson. This is like a year before I met Michael Jackson. Frankie was 6 to 7 years old on his fucking knees, having his, you know, having the raging bull go at it with him. And everyone feels sorry for him. Everyone feels sorry for the transgender piece of shit. That's all they fucking feel sorry for. Now let's feel sorry for Kenneth, because Kenneth knew about it the whole fucking time. He was using that information to manipulate me with. Oh, but it's President Barack Obama. And so, look, I understand Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and the president, they're always going to get everything they want. There's nothing that's ever going to... God is not bigger than them. There's no one that's ever going to show up. They have to either die, and then they're still going to get what they want. There's nothing that ever... justice would that ever happen. And it is very disturbing that somebody could get away with something like that, because as much as I was trying to go about my life, it wasn't going to be allowed to happen. It wasn't. And everyone, I'm going to the fucking downtown here. I'm going to fucking downtown in fucking Dallas. And they're in teams of riots protecting Kenneth and feeling sorry for his species and trying to rearrange it, how evil this behavior was and how dark it was. And they're all trying to rearrange by this behavior at a psychological, very dark psychological approach to the situation. And I'm still paying for it. And I don't know what Frankie's whereabouts is, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure Frankie's not going to... If Frankie is perfectly healthy and fine, he's not going to like that. He's not going to like that at all. And I know my biological mother, she wouldn't like that either. My mother would be crying. Just like you killed their fucking daughter and threw her in a dumpster so they could hip-hop station Keynote and feel sorry for Kenneth and Sarah and Ken, because Ken is already fucking dead. So make sure Kim gets it, or make sure Madison gets it. Oh, but Madison's a real girl. Oh, yeah, no, wait, hold on. This is Kenneth. Like, it's, as much as I try to not bring that topic up, it was a long time ago, it gets rejected back onto me. You have no idea. Every phone call I make, whether it's at a bar to go check to see if if they're broadcasting the UFC fight or a boxing fight, to go have a beer. I don't drink, but to have something to eat, watch a fight at a bar. Everything they say is particularly all exercised to manipulate and to target me. Every fucking thing, every word, every action that they can get, because these transgenders, it's all they feel sorry for. Transgender feels sorry for transgender and sorry for that faggot motherfucker. They don't believe that he should be tortured like the way I fucking was. And if he is, they're going to torture me just like him, just because they want to make sure he's not by himself. I go to hell with this motherfucker. Like, with his fucking wife, with his fucking transgender motherfucker. And it's very upsetting because, I've never heard somebody get raped by very few, 10 homosexual fucking men. I would show the evidence and prove everything, and I'm willing to take a lie detector test. And I'm watching all these videos on YouTube of how somebody is going to prison for 20 or 30, 40 fucking years because they stabbed somebody in the fucking neck. They raped one girl, they raped one boy, and they're going to prison for 15 fucking years, and they don't get placed in the public eye like I am. It is horrific because what I saw Frankie go through, even if he's healthy, is not, you cannot mentally, you can't function. You can't. I don't give a, what you're doing, you're propelling yourself in a forward motion that is not normal. It's because you've been trained and you're just trying to survive. My mother desperately tried to protect Frankie. My mother desperately tried to save him and help him. It is not because she's just got into desperate situations to try to survive. It's because that's the only way to survive. Ken and Sarah had threatened my mother so much and so nasty over the phone that even if my mother felt comfortable enough with any circumstances, she could have told them, and she did it. Oh, it was just because she's wetback. Oh, just like Sarah used to call her a wetback. Oh, it's just because, forgiveness time and Jesus and Sarah Cooper and Kenneth Cooper at the radio station. Like, it's so fucked up because, there's nothing that I can do. We watch something like that, and what they did to me, you're spending $1 million on my mother, and you did this shit. Like, just to protect Michael Jackson, put it on your dinner plate, and you took everything I'd ever worked for. The police officers took my car. They took my fucking car. The car that I got, that I worked for, they fucking took it. My car was valued when I bought it $12,000. It was a Honda 2000 Honda Accord. V6 coupe, leather interior, sunroof. They took my fucking car. I spent 7 years. You could pay me $1,000 every day that I was there for all the times I visited my dad for 7 years, once a week. Most of the time it was twice a week, on a Monday, then on a Friday, or like a Monday and a Tuesday. Sometimes I showed up way too many times. I showed up 3 times in a single week. But I always, rarely, ever missed a single week. Or was there at least every 10 days. You could pay me $1,000 and it wouldn't equal up to what I had lost. Because the police officers took the fucking... No, Gary Gwynn took the fucking car and Mike Standish did. No, it was President Barack Obama to make sure. No, it was fucking Patrick who stole my fucking deposit, my fucking money when I got to his fucking house because he was feeling sorry for Ken Cooper because he was an identical twin. Then had me live with his other motherfucker, his other twin, when when I spoke to Oprah Winfrey, for those that are following the story about what's going on, when I was 28 years old after I got raped. You know, it's just, it's so fucked up, and it's that no matter how much I fucking tried to move forward and build my own life, it was not being allowed to. And they wanted to incarcerate me. They wanted to do every inch and every power to incarcerate me innocently. And there this motherfucker was on a buffet with 2 cars, a fucking dog by the name of Princess. This motherfucker, look, this motherfucker named his dog Princess when my sister, who's has Down syndrome, is shitting and throwing up in a princess outfit in front of our fucking house every fucking day for her daily exercises with Ivan. Names their fucking dog Princess, and it's a fucking yellow mixed chow chow looking fucking dog. Okay? Pretty fucking dog. I gotta tell you, it's the prettiest bark I've ever heard in my life. Prettiest bark. I never heard a dog heard bark, prettier bark. But that dog's name was fucking Princess. They named the if you watched how groomed that fucking dog was, that dog, they would groom the fucking, they would get a hairbrush, and it was like every 3 days they were grooming the dog. I mean, if you looked at the dog, you could see its nails were fucking getting taken care of. The dog was going to get, and Miguel, I would always see Miguel outside in the backyard petting the fucking dog and combing through the fucking dog. Grooming the dog, going for walks. This is a dog Princess. He's buying his special snacks and all kinds of shit. In a beautiful home, comfortable. And they're coming after me for it. And they knew how to use this situation because they needed the trash can. This was Gary Gwynn, this is Mike Standish, this was several other people that played along with this goddamn shit. And Doug Brown, Standard Register, and nobody cares about the past, because if you can't talk about it and you can't go into details, there is no story. And that's how the perpetrator gets away. If there's nobody that's willing to do anything about it, especially but the police, then yeah, you get fucked in your ass, and the police said you get fucked in your ass. That's what the police officer says. Frankie gets fucked in his ass and gets raped. He continues to, and then we'll just talk about it later, see how much you can remember. But he was still a police officer earning a fucking $3,000 a month paycheck, or whatever, how much they get. They earn pretty good money, at least, you know, $3,000 a month. They earn about $45,000 salary driving a police car. They earn about $45,000 to $50,000 starting salary, around those figures. Maybe a little less than that, possibly, but to my understanding, it's about just about those numbers. And it wasn't just that I saw them. I chased these guys out of my fucking brother's asshole. I chased them to stay the fuck away out of my brother's fucking record. Stop fucking my brother. Like, I fucking chase them. I fucking go into the fucking room with their, and I'm fucking, the guys are fucking running in a fucking bar. This fucking guy, my uncle, fucking kills himself with a fucking gun. This guy, Bill, who fucking does it, I'm running and go get help, fights my fucking brother. You know, this other guy fucking holds my brother fucking hostage with a fucking knife and my mother, and I fucking beat the fucking door to get him to stop, and this guy could have killed me. But we're talking about how we feel sorry for Kenneth because Ken Cooper's the one paid for it. No, it is Kenneth that did this goddamn shit. And it's his team members that are manipulating and doing this goddamn shit. And while he's broadcasting, trying to look cool on a radio station for fucking 10 fucking years, what do you think that's doing to me? Who's feeling sorry for who? Because guess who knows about this information? Somebody's calling me right now. I don't know why they're calling me. It's someone in this city. But I think it's important to talk about this. You know, you have people going to prison for 30 years. I mean, this guy needs to be doing fucking 80 years in his fucking transgender life for being the accomplice of that shit. You know, I spent 4 years going to Standard Register from the minute my dad died. When I was working there when my dad was still alive. I got fired after a transfer. Do you know they didn't give me one raise when I worked there? If you're patrolling me so much about Miguel, about what happened over here and all this other shit, I didn't get one raise. I never asked for one raise in 40 fucking years. The minute I asked for a raise, within 2 months, they fired me, threw me out the door. Not even 2 months. I'm going to say a month. It was a month after me asking for a raise, they fired me. A month. And it is, Standard Register is one of the biggest mandatory printing companies in the entire U.S. It was $1 billion company. It was like they had the best benefits. Like, you ever hear these companies that have all the best benefits, like GM and Texas Instruments? They got like all the great life insurance and dental plans, and they have health insurance. Well, Standard Register had all the best insurances and shit, and they like guarantee to give you at least, you know, $1 raise every year. I worked there for 4 years, never asked for a fucking raise, but they knew about Miguel, and I'm getting my ass chewed into it for it. But that's okay, wasn't it? Because you're monitoring me with these electronic devices and beating me there when you were doing it. Because you're just monitoring me though, right? But I'm not entitled because I never missed a fucking day of work, showed up late, and all the time that I worked, and I count every time on one fucking hand in 4 fucking years. I always showed up on time. I always showed up, you know, late. I mean, worked overtime when I needed to. I filled in for fucking people. I'd show up just to fill in when somebody took a vacation. But I'm not getting a fucking raise. You know when the only times I got a raise? When they gave an announcement at a meeting, and they tell everybody, we gave everybody a 10-cent raise because we did really good. You know what a 10-cent raise feels like when you're working the way that I did, standing in one single fucking place on a matted floor? You know, drilling fucking, hearing a machine go, you know, like pistons that are fucking moving, drilling holes and shit. I'm having to cut paper, you know, with a big slicing machine. I'm having to glue and smell chemicals and all kinds of fucking shit. Like, that's some really fucking, it was not an easy job. It's a lot of fucking work. It's not a kickback, sit back job where you just leisure. It's a lot of work. But, you know, it is too late. And unfortunately, it's sometimes the bigger monsters in life are much more bigger and unnoticeable until it's too late. And it's President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. They were laughing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew this is a political movement. They're black. They're going to kill and pivot to everybody knows how the blacks behave when they're in political power, because we know about racism and Martin Luther King. You have opportunities, but they'll kill you. But you don't want to be killed for somebody else to get it. And that's how they do it. There's a certain way that you think to get in those positions. And those positions, you start killing innocent people and targeting the innocent. Powerhouses are how you can manipulate in that chess match of moving and masterminding it, because they know they'll cover it up and lie and make excuses and get what they want. They feel nothing and they cry nothing. They feel nothing. You know, this circumstances is like, it makes me think so much of like, man, there's people out there in prison 30 fucking years. You know, Frankie gets raped in his ass so you can make Kenneth look cool and feel sorry for him again, and then put it back on the radio. And they're all training me, and they're all beating me to get me to think different of that situation. And I know that they're eventually going to do that, because I'm going to be conditioned and beaten to it, where there is no other discussion of that. It is always to the profitable game of what that fucking pedophile is fucking participating in. He's a pedophile that's participating in this shit. That's what he's doing. And when I get on the fucking bus, when I get on the fucking, back there, back on, when I get on the bus to a location, on my way back, when I'm at the grocery, they're all, let's feel sorry for this piece of shit. Let's feel sorry for Kenneth, and how can I scare Hector and put you in a mental state where you be obedient to what belief and story you're going to eventually break into. And it's the president that's doing this in my environment. And it's, Frankie didn't have one fucking friend. Not one that ever showed up. Not one. You feel sorry for Michael Jackson because he talks about never having a friend? No, Frankie really didn't have a fucking friend other than me playing sports and Mickey. And Mickey was the fucking kid of fucking Miguel and Diana. We gotta walk by his house every single fucking day. From the minute that Frankie is going to first grade to sixth grade, Frankie has to walk every fucking day with me. From school, we have to walk by his house. But you want to feel sorry for Michael Jackson? I mean Miguel and Diana and Kenneth, because it was just a different story. And the frustration is always going to happen. The high altitudes, you're not going to win a debate with me in an argument. When I'm clear-headed, when I am not having an electronic device alter my brain function or my being for a period of time, and usually it's even better if it would never touch me for several weeks and months, let alone even in the moment. You won't win a debate, because this is not me looking for a fight or just winning to win a fight. It is because how just I am of a person. And if it doesn't belong to me, then your money's yours. But I'm going to there to talk the truth, and it's extraordinary that the idea that you have this circumstance that happened and they got away with it. And I'm watching these people spend 30 fucking years. You go to court, there's a prosecutor. That prosecutor, even if me one day you never know could happen, or somebody else. A prosecutor would just fucking tell you either no matter how innocent you are to what those circumstances are, a prosecutor will always tell you, or your attorney, take the fucking plea, because if you're found guilty and you go against a prosecutor, they work out a fucking deal. You work out a fucking deal with a prosecutor that's going to tell you spend 30 years, or you can get 15 years if you plead guilty to it, or you spend 30 years if you want to try to say how innocent you are because of electronic devices, or because of defense, or because of retaliation. They don't care. They throw your worthless fucking body in a jail cell. And that's where they want you, because of the president, and because of Michael Jackson, and because they feel sorry for Miguel and Diana. This guy is not stupid, and neither is his fucking wife. They knew exactly, and they're very calculating. I've been around them. This motherfucker was pretending to be retarded. 4 days ago, when I'm walking to the grocery store, they get people to start behaving like Miguel, like in the fucking vegetables and fruit area, like he's retarded. Like he does this. So they get somebody that looks like Ken Cooper, and he does it. Like, I swear to God, this is what they're doing. I show up over there at a grocery store, and it's a mimicking of that behavior. Very large individual. Because it inherits and scoops out all the tragedy that happened, puts it on Ken Cooper, and then Ken Cooper to the death, and then Sarah and Kenneth go scot-free. That's why. And it's calculating. You're a pedophile assistant is what you're doing. Oh, it's not what you're doing. You're just not being racist. You're just doing something else. It's just a perception of racism, what you thought it was. No, that's exactly what you're fucking doing. And it goes to apply to many things. No, you're a pedophile. You're an assistant pedophile. That's what Kenneth is. They want that fame so bad, and don't know the price that I paid, and the price that Frankie paid, and the price that my mother paid. you still gave it to them. You know, it's so tragic when you hear stories about people going to prison for 30 fucking years and 20 years. You know, and these aren't, they're not bad. They did a bad situation. Miguel was punking out Frankie. I mean, I'm just controlling him. If this motherfucker, you thought that y'all corrected him so he could stay safe in his house, and he made a small boo-boo for the gay community, and he's the one that paid for it for Michael Jackson and the movement, he shows up to my dad's funeral. Showing up to my dad's funeral, right there with Diana, and they looked all comfortable and everything. Right there in front of Ken Cooper and Sarah. And Sarah Cooper's laughing. You know, Frankie was 120 pounds. I remember he was like 90 pounds. Frankie was very skinny. I remember him walking with his blue backpack and how he would try to be affirmed of himself. Like, be affirmed of himself. And he would be affirmed of himself, like saying, I'm a human being, and I kind of see how he kind of perk up his attitude. And we're fucking, I'm like 7 years old, he's like 9 or 10. And I'm like 6 or 7, he's like 11 years old, he's like in 5th grade. And the way he's behaving is so military trained. And a child should never go through that. At 6 years old, you are not military trained. And that's what the president will then use. Military died in Iraq and burned alive. I feel emotions for Iraq in the World Trade Center. You know, it's just, you know, you got to kill to save a few. You know, it's just the progress of explaining who's stupid and how smart I am. And it's so fucked up. It's so, you know, that no matter how much you want to let him get away with it, he paid for it. It's the money you gave my mother in this house and the twins. Because that's how you wanted to neutralize, because you neutralized me in the situation. And there is impossible, you know, like, it's so scumming behavior, it causes so much stress. You know, because no matter how much I tried to, like, focus on do other shit, that's all everybody felt sorry for. That's all of the faggots and trans. That's all they fucking did. That's all they fucking did. And the police officers were in on it just as much as everybody fucking else was. These cops fucking knew about this shit. When we did, I don't think I've ever shared this before. There was 2 police officers. There's a man and a woman. You could probably go through the list of Richard Murphy, John Murphy, any other kids that you could talk to that went to good elementary in the same grade I was, and any other grades above me. There would be police officers that came and talked to us. And they didn't talk to just us, they talked to the entire school. And they were doing their seminar where they bring like a briefcase and they try to show all the kids what drugs look like and how drugs are really bad. And when there's a real, well, I don't know if it's a real heterosexual female, but she looks like very much like a female police officer. And one of the police officers was homosexual, and he's on stage. And he begins his performance on how to justify what had happened. To justify what had happened to Frankie and what this guy did. And to let him off the hook. And because he knows everyone knows about Michael Jackson and everybody knows about the rapes. So he then starts to put his performance about exchanging certain stories with, let me feel sorry for Miguel. Let me train Hector, because they think the thing that I think helped so much of the situation is I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it wasn't in my mind that he was ever, these people had done this, because they were grooming me so often. But it is a horrendous, because Frankie spent, you spent your childhood should never be like that. A little kid should never have to experience that type of shit. Go in your room and just stay locked inside your fucking room. You should never experience that. Frankie liked going to events and places. Like whenever I used to, because I went to Funsphere with Frankie and we went to vacations. Frankie, he liked going outdoors and going and experiencing things. No, Miguel said stay in your fucking room. Because as President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, remember, they always win. But understanding that, when I'm older and Frankie, I call Frankie and he used to he'd pick me up all the time from the movie theater with Robert. I would call him and he would sound like he really liked going out and doing stuff. No, he kept him in his cage. He kept Frankie in his cage as a little child, as a kid. Because you're going to get Keynote 97 on the beat and then exchange his story with Frankie's, and then he's Keynote, and I think that feels sorry for me. At least I get to kill you and then I kill myself. Oh, but that's a true emotion to how I feel emotion for President Barack Obama and the transgender he has in his life too. Because it's just how we exchange emotions and understand, oh, but we're just all the same. And then Jesus Christ. Like, it's fucking... There's nothing that I can do because the president was involved in this. And he knew. And they're never going to explain, you motherfucker, him and his fucking wife. And then the presidents that are continuing to know Bobby Parsha. There's so many other problems that they go on about their business. But it is horrific. Because whoever got involved to buy my mother that mansion, is not the jealousy, is what you took away from me. You took a shelter away from me. You took my fucking car, and you had the police come after me. And I saved my brother, and I was the one that sacrificed my fucking rectum as fucking well getting raped. I was getting a mouth full of my brother's fucking feces after being fucked in his ass and having to live on my knees sucking dick. Oh, but that's okay. Eat your brother's fucking teeth. Eat your brother's fucking shit in your mouth. Because that's how Keynote works, because I'm going to explain it with all my gays. Oh, because I'm just harder now, and these are masterminded individuals that know how to target the situation and mind of myself and other people to make sure in details of the structure of the store to make this work for them. It's not like a real straight individual like me that when we go to court and you stab somebody in the fucking heart and kill them, you stab somebody in the neck and kill them, or you slit their throat open and they got to get stitches all across their fucking neck. And then the judge says 35 years mandatory before even eligible for parole. They look at you like, oh, you're a man now, huh? You're a real man now, huh? No, we're going to go help Miguel and Kenneth at the radio station because you didn't know about the details of what that was being like. Oh, just say a different story now. It's like, no matter how much, the situation is, they milk the situation. It's bad because a little kid should never go through that. A little kid should never try to go through that type of abuse that was that intense, that was that, like, every fucking, this is Michael Jackson fame rape. And, how that affects me, because he's the older son, and how that affects my mother entirely affects the decisions that are being made, entirely, altogether. I think it's important to talk about, because my mother's, I know, is not in a good mental state. Now they're using her twins to manipulate the situation to, get whatever they can get out of it. And as much as I would want and like to just not talk about it and get away, is how much people were just, that's all they did. They didn't want to talk about it. Let them get away with it. It's over. It's done. They both a piece of shit transgender motherfucker. It's done. It's over with. 41 years old, it's still happening. It's a fresh idea. And It's like O.J. Simpson. Did he commit the murder, or people still feel sorry for him? Still accuse him of the murder 30 years down the fucking road, like it was happened yesterday. You know, I wasn't able to work, but everyone was giving this motherfucker a job. But it's just really tough because I had to go through it myself, and how this affected my mother. No, that's exactly why they did this, because they know there's no talking about it. And that's exactly why Barack Obama and Michelle Obama did this to my mother. You are going to tell the story. We told you, and how we shit it in your mouth to tell you to tell the fucking story to your own kids. We're going to shit in your mouth, and we're going to tell you to feed it to your fucking kids. And that's exactly what Michelle and Barack Obama did. It's exactly what they fucking did. They had the authority to kill Osama bin Laden. They had the authority to start war. They had the authority. They know who to send in behind closed doors to get situations planned out and carried out the way that they want. They know how to do it. They know how to do it behind assassinations and all other type of shit. They know other people that know how to fucking put them down. They don't, it's something else that's going on in the background for their movement, political shit. I don't think a kid should ever go through that. When you know that, when you know a little kid is going through that, and then I see like, oh, you beat the shit out of a 25-year-old girl who probably didn't deserve it, and you're right, she never, it's horrific, every case is different. You know, well, she was, she they were doing drugs, and she was a whore, and she was cheating on him, or whatever the situation, like they give him fucking 35 fucking years. They gave him 50 years, and this guy was responsible for leading, because that's what he wanted. It was very calculated. I know that Miguel had to have heard other rapes that had happened. He had to have heard, because everyone else did, about Bill fighting my dad and raping Frankie. Everyone knew about that, which I think was Chantel, who worked at Standard Register, Gary Gwynn's wife. And nobody cared. You don't have anybody to talk to tell you who can straighten it, you have nobody you can talk to who can retaliate, or, someone that throws them in prison for a long time, a court or judge, authority. You have no authority, nothing will ever happen, and nothing ever did. Because I was eating it at my fucking job sites. It's been now, what? Almost 15 years since haven't been able to hold a job more than 7 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks. Since I was 28 years old. I got fired from the government office, and I worked there for about 6 or 7 months. Longest time I'd ever spent at any place was at a movie theater, and I spent almost 2 months. It was about 7 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks that I worked there. That's 27, 28, that's 14 fucking years that I've never been able to hold a job more than 7 weeks. Guaranteed. 14 fucking years.